good morning or good afternoon, depending on where in the world you are. This is Johnny Farias again. Thank you for joining in. Today I have another special guest, Maxeme, who is running for school board, which is very important because our children are in school and we need to make sure that our children are represented by important people in the school board, not only as parents, that we're at home. So thank you for tuning in. Max, how are you doing today?
I'm really good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. So the audience knows, tell us a little something about yourself.
Yep. So my name is Maxeme Tuchman, but everyone calls me Max. And I'm a South Dade kid. I grew up here in Miami in South Dade, and to Cuban Jewish parents, and both of them are Cuban Jews, which is, no one believes me. Everyone's like, which one's Cuban, which one's Jewish? I'm like, no, we're double. I'm 1,000% Cuban Jew. My family came from Europe and fleeing their countries because they were trying to flee fascism or communism, and so my dad's side is actually they're Holocaust survivors. My grandparents are Holocaust survivors. They ended up in Cuba, and on my mom's side they were fleeing the Bolshevik Revolution. So my grandmother was born in Cuba, and then of course they fled too when Castro took over. So for me, I do everything every day. I'm driven by this idea of how many sacrifices were made in the generations before me, to leave languages, to leave family, to leave loved ones, to leave security and businesses that they owned, to come to the United States and to really, believe in the American dream so that me and my sister could be, whatever we wanted to be, and without persecution. And I think, for any immigrant kid, we all grow up hearing the only thing you can take with you in the middle of the night when you flee is what's up here.
Right.
And so education has always been something that I've realized. None of my family had formal education, right? But like the things that they learned were things that they not only could bring with them, but they could also use in their next country to make sure that they could survive. And so I got really obsessed with this idea that if we just provided everyone, no matter what zip code you came from, with a high quality education, everyone had the same chance to succeed.
I agree. And very well put. Thank you. Yeah. So, I know a lot of people, you always get asked this question. So what made you decide to run for office?
Yeah. So, I'm a former teacher. I taught at Miami Northwestern in Liberty City, and I also graduated from Miami-Dade County Public Schools. So I have a lot of experience with our school system. I've been, my entire career has been fighting for students and for kids and a high quality education. I also ran Teach for America here in Miami. So I was responsible for recruiting, training, and supporting, and retaining our teachers. I placed them all over the county, but especially in South Dade, right, at Homestead High and a couple of other schools down south, because as a kid who grew up in South Dade, I was like, why do the resources never come down here, right? Why does no one want to, we have to fight the traffic. We have to pay the taxes. We have to pay the tolls. We have to pay for gas. Like, why does no one else want to do that for us and bring the resources down to South Dade? So I felt really strongly that we should have our Teach for America teachers, right? Some of the best teachers, some of the best talent in the nation that we were bringing down to help with the teacher gap, right? With the teacher shortage. And so, with all of this experience, I actually used to go to school board meetings when I was running Teach for America. And it was really frustrating to hear adults fight with adults about what's best for adults. And I was like, why? Why is no one talking about children? Why is no one putting students first? Why is no one saying, hey, is this a policy that's good for children, or is it just good for us adults? And I got very frustrated by that. So I ended up starting my own tech company. It's an ed tech, right? So technology and education, called Caribou, Caribou en Español. And it's virtual playdates. So this idea, I was a 12th grade teacher and my students couldn't read on grade level. They were reading probably at best at a 5th grade reading level.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like as a 12th grade teacher, how is it possible that I'm going to prepare them in 180 days for the future? We've got to start earlier. So I built Caribou specifically for the, kind of 0 to 12-year-old child, where they could read, draw, and play games together in a video call with a loved one. And as you can imagine, it blew up, in the best way during the pandemic, and we sold it to Mattel, which was amazing. And as soon as I finished, this crazy journey as a startup founder, I saw that Luby Navarro had resigned. for District 7 as the school board member.
Right.
And if there was ever a time where I could return to South Dade and do the work that I've been trying to do my entire career and do it at the school board level, this was the time.
Well, I'm glad you're in the fight. And I've had other school board candidates and members before. One of the biggest things which I want to see what your opinion is, like you said, the gap. You know, a lot of teachers, and I have a sister who's a teacher, and she's always complaining about the pay. And now, just recently, she had said that she's upset because they're giving incentives to new teachers coming in, and they're getting paid higher than the teachers that already have, time.
Tenure, yeah.
10, 15 years. And, they're wondering why. And of course, that's why we lose teachers.
Yep.
Is there something that you have planned for that to try to fix that?
Well, number one, I mean, the teacher pay in this state is 50 worst in the nation. And we only have 50 states. So we are the worst in the nation for paying our teachers. And we also have one of the largest teacher shortages in the country. And it's because you can't live on a teacher's salary. And especially, every teacher that I've ever met, and me as a teacher, we spend our own money out of our own pockets for our students.
Yes,
that's why we get into teaching, right? It's not for the money. It's not for the respect. It's not for the accolades. It's because we love our students and we love our community and we love the idea that everyone should have a high quality education. And so, when I started 20 years ago as a teacher, I was making $33,000 a year. 20 years later, the average is $58,000. Who can live on $58,000 here in Miami? And also, who can live in their own community where they're teaching? So I talk to a lot of teachers who have an hour commute in the morning because they can't afford to live near their school.
Right.
So we have really got to rethink the formula of our per pupil. And what actually that means is our county, so Miami-Dade County, our taxes, we're a donor county. Our taxes go up to Tallahassee and they do not return at the same rate that we need to fund our schools and to fund our teacher salaries. So we need to fix that. There's a commitment from, I think, Danny Perez, who's going to be the new speaker, to fix the per pupil because it was reduced, and
right.
and that's a huge opportunity for us to increase teacher pay. We also have a referendum. We as county residents said if Tallahassee is not going to fund our teacher salaries, we will take it upon ourselves. That's a huge commitment from our community to say we know that teachers should be paid more, and we as a county, even though we pay our taxes and even though we technically should be getting it back from Tallahassee, since we're not, let's take these matters into our own hands. But that's about to expire, and we're going to need to rethink how do we make sure that, like you said, it needs to be a competitive job for people to want to do it. And right now, our babies, are not being given a teacher in every classroom. There's a lot of kids
right.
that I speak to that are like, oh, I'm in the gym half the time, I'm in the cafeteria half the time, I have a substitute that just graduated a year ago. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable. Every child deserves a high quality certified teacher in their classroom for every period of the day.
Well, I mean, I believe that's guaranteed in our rights.
I mean,
in education, but now look, and I hear what you say, but my question is this, okay? And being that you've been involved now, we hear this every year from our state government, our legislators and our senators. We're going to fix this. We're going to fix that. We're going to do this for you. And I mean, personally, I've seen them just do worse. I mean, not now, they went after one of the biggest teachers union, which, I know, and I know some teachers don't like them. Other teachers do like them. But at the end of the day, they do represent teachers to make sure they get better wages and they're always at the table. When they're degunning unions, and especially the teachers union, and they say they're going to give you a raise, but then they give you 2%, and then it takes you 2 years to get it. I mean, why? I mean, so where is the benefit that their promises? Yeah. And as a teacher, how do you feel about that?
Yeah. So, one of the good things that is going to happen if I win my seat, right now we have 9 school board members. 5 of them are funded by the governor. 2 of them are appointed. Mm-hmm. No matter if you love the governor or if you don't love the governor, no state official should be telling our local school board what to do. We should have local
I agree.
control, right? We should have local control, especially third largest school district in the country. So we have a state that is telling our local school board what to do because they have ties to 5 of the 9 school board members. That means they have a majority. So if they don't want to raise teacher pay, they don't have to because they know they have the votes, right?
Right.
If I win my seat, this district, District 7, is one of the 5 seats. I'm trying to take politics out of the classroom because all of these decisions that are being made are political. They're politically driven. They're not what's in the best interest of students. And so if I win my seat, all of a sudden the governor does not have a majority on our board anymore. We are free to do the things that we need to do to pay our teachers better, to respect our teachers more, and to make sure that our kids are having a high quality education. And the decisions that we make are driven, are evidence-based, research-based, and are driven by the fact that we know that it makes the most sense for our students.
Yeah. And just so the viewers and the audience knows, we as Dade County, we're a donor county, meaning that we give the most amount of money to the state. So when the state makes their budget, the taxes that we pay are the majority of them. But then in turn, we don't get a big chunk.
Yep.
You know, and which not only is not fair, but you know, I mean, we really need to rethink that. You know, within all the boards, the school board and the legislation, because you know we have a lot more people, and policy.
Yeah.
Come the election, you win. Like you said, if you win the seat, what is one of the first things that you would like to do?
Yeah. I mean, again, we need to do a couple of different things. First of all, as a tech founder, I believe that we really need people with tech experience on our school boards, right? When I was hiring here in Miami, I couldn't hire any of our graduates because they were not prepared for the jobs of the future. So, you know, one of the most important things is I need to use my technology background to make sure that our schools are hiring the right tech people, are training teachers in the right way for the technology that is here and that is coming. Generative AI is something that people don't realize the power of how that is going to change education. I mean, there's no going back. And a lot of teachers don't know how to harness it. They don't know how to use it. They don't know how to spot it when students are using it. Our students don't know how to use it properly. They're losing foundational skills because they're using AI instead of actually learning the skills that they need. Right. So there's a lot of things that we need to do to better prepare our students and our teachers for the wave of technology change that's coming. Technological change. And so that's, you know, one of the first things I want to focus on. I want to make our county like the most technologically advanced district in the country. And we can do that. We can do that because not only do we have the Miami tech community here, we have a lot of tech companies that are here, and we can reskill and retrain our parents and our grandparents who also want to be up on it and get better jobs because they understand this. So there's a lot that we need to do there policy wise.
Well, we need to. I mean, it's not a question that we need to.
Yeah, there's no. Yeah, it's not a choice.
We need to educate everybody in the tech business because IA is here. I mean, like you said, there's no going back.
Yeah, no, there's not.
I believe at the beginning of this week or just early last week, Broward County School Board, they voted on removing all cell phones, period. How do you feel about that?
You know, it's actually one of the most hot issues when I talk to parents. Like a lot of other issues, parents are like pretty much like on one side or the other, right? Removing cell phones is a 50-50 situation, right? There's it's first of all, as a teacher, it is really hard to try and teach and also manage. So classroom management and then academic teaching, right? Those are the two main things that we would do as a teacher. We are trying to maintain the
decorum.
The classroom environment, but we are doing that because we want to be able to deliver an education, right? It is really hard to do both of those. And then on top of it, you have cell phones that you're trying to deal with. There's a lot of parents who are like, yeah, take the cell phone out of the classroom. This is ridiculous. It's a distraction. That's 50%. The other 50% are like, our schools aren't safe. And God forbid something happens, I want to be able to reach my child. And I want my child to be able to reach me. And that is heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking that our schools are still places where kids and parents do not feel like we have taken their safety as a priority. And they are willing to disrupt the learning environment with cell phones because something could happen. And so, it's going to be a very difficult policy to navigate to make sure that we are doing, again, what's right for students.
Being you bringing that up, 2 shows ago, I had a 10-year-old 5th grader.
Right, yeah.
And a junior young lady. And we were talking about school safety.
Yeah.
And now, now the school thing, the phone thing comes into effect. Now, you're right. And the 10-year-old was saying that the way they manage the safety drills, that is good, and everything goes so smoothly, but that they both felt that this is not effective because other students don't take it seriously.
Right. Yeah.
And by quote the 10-year-old, because afterwards we had more conversation about this, he said that this can cause other children to lose their lives if it becomes real. And I'm gonna tell you, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because I remember in 5th grade, the last thing in my mind was school shootings.
Yeah. Yeah. My 12th grade year was Columbine. And that's, so I am very grateful that I went through 12 years of schooling like you, where I didn't have to think about this, that this wasn't every morning something that I as a student thought, am I going to come home today? And that my parents and my grandparents, my extended family didn't have to worry, is Max going to come home today? Like, that's a real fear. When I knock on the doors, which I've been knocking on for 6 months, that's a real fear. When I talk to grandparents, they're like, this is very scary. I don't know. I get these drill alerts. I don't know if they're that's the stress that parents, grandparents, teachers, and students are feeling from that is unacceptable.
Well, and I can tell you, and on the other half, I can tell you that I could be at work and I'll get calls from parents that they said, it's on the news, something happened to the school. And I mean, I'm at work, I'm not aware of it. And then I got to go and find out what's going on. Yeah. And sometimes they're false alarms. And it's right. Sad that it's happening. Do you have any plans or how can we, Max, how can we make our schools safer so kids don't have to worry about that? So let's say me as a grandparent don't have to, look at my phone, my grandson's calling me in the middle of the day knowing that he's in school and think, oh my God, something happened. Yeah.
So I'm a gun sense candidate through Moms Demand, which is a great organization that is very focused. They're almost kind of like, do you remember Moms Against Drunk Driving, MAD?
Yes.
Yeah. And that, because moms stood up and said, this is ridiculous. We are not going to let this continue to happen. These are our babies that are getting into these drunk driving situations and to these accidents, and we're losing our kids. They really changed the face of what was happening. This is the next iteration of that, right? Which is Moms Demand, action against, for more gun sensibility. They are, it's not an organization that wants to take people's guns away. We are just asking that people be sensible when we are talking about guns and when we are, using guns, when we are storing guns. The other thing is, a lot of people say, what are you going to do about guns, blah, blah, blah. And I think if we are talking about guns as a safety policy for our students, we are way too late, right? Yeah. What we need to be thinking about is 10 years earlier. How are we supporting our students? How are we supporting their mental health? How are we making sure that there's enough guidance counselors and support staff? Our kids went through 2 years of a global pandemic. Us adults, traumatic to begin with, right? It was traumatic, but we were adults, and our kids went through something very traumatic, and we have not dealt with that. They were isolated for 2 years. We have not dealt with the mental health repercussions of that. We also have not had our students build community geographically where they are. A lot of kids are going online to find community because we've not invested in extracurriculars, in sports, in things where kids come together and actually make friends with people that live near them. And that's all correlated to what we're seeing with the violence in schools. A lot of the social media, right? Offline and online safety is really important. A lot of the online issues are bleeding into offline, right? And so what are we doing to support our kids and our students in building community so that they always feel appreciated, so that they feel safe, so that they feel like they have a community of people around them, so that we don't get to the point where someone feels that a gun is going to solve their problems.
And gun education is very important. And a quick fun fact for the audience, more guns wind up in the street because gun owners leave them in their cars. And then when they get broken into, guess what happens? So it isn't that people go and buy guns and use it for, no. They get the guns get in the wrong hands because the gun owners leave them in the cars and they get stolen.
Yeah. That's all we ask. Just be responsible.
We need to be.
Yeah. So that our kids don't get them, right? But we also need to be thinking about, like, why would a child think a gun is the right solution for their problem?
Yeah.
And I think we need to go back in time and say, wait a second, like, let's fix these things before they become that problem.
I agree. So, give me more policy. What other things would you like to see changed?
Yeah. So again, as someone who taught 12th grade and had, students that were reading on a 5th grade reading level, which is terrible, we need to invest more in pre-K, and we need to make sure that our students have access, right? Our 3-year-olds, we need to start earlier. So we need to start at 3, and we need to make sure that our parents have access to pre-K, because a lot of people can't put their kids in pre-K because there aren't enough slots.
Right.
And then we also need to ensure that the teachers in the pre-K programs are being well paid, because a lot of times they are some of the worst paid teachers, because people are like, oh, they're babysitters. No, this is early childhood education. This is the foundation of your child's education. It's like building a house. You wouldn't skimp on the building of the foundation of the house, because everything is built on the foundation, right? If you don't do a solid foundation, the house falls apart at some point. Yeah. So you have to think about education in the exact same way. These years are super critical to ensure that our kids are reading on grade level by 3rd grade, and that they are graduating in 12th grade with, on grade level, and also with all the skills that they need to be able to compete, for jobs and to go to college and to do whatever they want with their lives.
I have a question for you. And this is my own personal opinion. I think that the country has gotten to the point that because we're trying to compete with other countries like India and China, we're putting so much on our children for them to achieve more, instead of allowing them to not only enjoy their childhood, but go in sync with their grade and learn. Yeah. Okay, and the reason why I say that, because I see it in my grandchildren. I saw it at the last few years of my 2 boys when they were in high school. They would give them a lot of homework, a lot of this, a lot of that, and me and my wife would spend a lot of time trying to help them with their homework. And sometimes I would think, well, shouldn't they be doing this in class? Why are we teaching them how to do this? Because we have asked them, did you go to this class? No, they didn't give it to us in class. They just told us we had to do the homework and basically come figure it out. Now, I'm going to tell you, I was in the Navy, I was a sonar tech, and one of the programs that I went to was a self-paced class. So basically, they gave us the books and said, when you're ready, come take the test. That's what I thought they were doing to kids here. And, I remember in New York, it was different because I grew up in New York. So, we have a different Board of Education system there. And, so I feel like maybe we need to stop trying to compete with them and just try to concentrate on our children here, because I know we can do better. Yeah. In everything, and making sure that we get them into the new IA futures coming. Yeah. I know we can pay our teachers a lot better. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that maybe we should have a system the same way we have for our police officers, firemen, where they even have overtime. I think teachers should get paid overtime.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Because I know
we work overtime.
I know. Like I said, my sister is a teacher, and so that night when I call her up, she said, "Oh, I'm here grading," and they don't do this in school. No. They just do this at home on their own time. And yes, she calls me up. Hey, Johnny, I need donations because I need to buy books. I need to buy this. So, and it's inconceivable that this is happening. Yep. There should be more than enough, supplies for the kids, especially that at the beginning of the year, you get this dream list or dream, whatever they want to call it now. When my kids were going to school, it was a dream list. Yeah. And they would ask for paper, loose leaf, folders, pens, erasers, dry erasers. I mean, if they're collecting from every kid, I think we should be able to supply with no problem. So, and I don't know where that stuff goes, but I mean, what's going on? I mean, we got to do something. Yeah.
No, we have to completely rehaul the way that we do things, because it's on the backs of teachers. Yeah, imagine if police and firefighters had to take out of their own pockets to buy a bulletproof vest or to buy a fire hose. Yeah. Right, or ask their family to do a Donors Choose website.
In the police car.
Gas in the police car. I don't have enough, and my salary is too low. This is what we don't question it when it comes from teachers, but it's just as unacceptable. I think we need to really think very hard about what we what we expect of teachers, what we force teachers to have to do. And then we expect our kids to come out of our schools with, this incredible education and to be able to compete and to go off to college. And yet every year the state continues to take money away from public education.
And expect you to do the same job with less.
Right. Yeah. And us as taxpayers, just really quickly, I just want to make this clear. The voucher program, which, has taken our public tax dollars. So you and I pay taxes, and we have public tax dollars that are going to Tallahassee, and then Tallahassee is giving them to schools.
Charter schools.
Well, and to private schools, now private schools who have no accountability. Literally, me as a taxpayer, I am giving $1 to a private school, and I don't know how that dollar is being spent. I don't know if it's being spent on a certified teacher. When you go to a traditional public school, 100% of those teachers are certified. But we as taxpayers are giving money to places where we have no accountability. We don't know how it's going. We don't know what the results are. We don't know who the people are in the classrooms. And that's unacceptable.
It is. And for the record, by no means am I saying that we need to take away the overtime for police officers or firefighters.
No.
I mean, they need it. They're the ones protecting us. My point was that we should treat teachers the same because they do spend a lot of time with our children who will be the next police officers and firefighters and so on.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, I agree with you. I in my opinion, again, because this is just my opinion, not nobody else's. If we're going to give money to charter schools or private schools, which I have nothing against, only that they need to be under the umbrella of the school board.
Yeah, they just need to be accountable. That's all I ask.
And so do I. So we're in agreement there. Yeah. And I know I'm going to get a lot of stuff from other people about charter school. But yeah, if we give them the money, they should be responsible, plain and simple.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a whole other show.
Yes.
Well, Max, it's been a pleasure. We're winding down. Please let the audience know if somebody needed to get a hold of you. Yeah. A website, if someone wants to donate, how can we do it?
Yes.
It's all yours.
We are still accepting contributions for our campaign. My website is, I guess I can talk to the camera now. My website is Max4 School Board, so MAXFOR schoolboard.com. You can find us on Instagram, message us on Instagram, and you can also, you can reach out to us. You can come by the office. We have an office down near the Kendall Costco. Come volunteer. We would love to have the community involved in the campaign. We have tons of people from the community all the way down to Florida City, by the way. So the district, let me explain also, the District 7 goes from Sunset, Kendall Drive, all the way down to pretty much Robert is here. And goes pretty south, Avocado Elementary, South Dade High School. And then we are west of US 1. So it's like a triangle. So that entire district, the 5 high schools, in case that helps, is Tara, Robert Morgan, South Ridge, South Dade, and Killian. So those are the feeder pattern schools that are in the district. And so if you live in the district and you want to get involved, we're taking door knockers. We have a ton of the community coming out every weekend to door knock and talk to voters and explain, why we think, I'm the best choice to be on the school board to represent us. It's about time we have someone that was elected in our district. We've had a lot of appointed people, and I think people want change. They want to take politics. That's the most resonating conversation that I'm having at the doors, which is we want politics out of the classroom. We're sick of people making decisions about our kids in a political manner.
And absentee ballots have gone out. Yes. What is your punch number? So they know also?
Yes. So absentee ballots are out. Early voting starts August 5th, goes till the 18th. By the way, no voting on August 19th. Don't ask me why. And then the last day to vote is August 20th. It's a nonpartisan race. I'm really proud of that. Again, I'm taking politics out of the classroom. I want our school board to make nonpartisan decisions. I want our school board to be nonpartisan again. They used to be. And my punch number is 357.
Well, they have audience. Max, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Don't forget 357 is Max's punch number. Everyone, please be aware we are in voting season now. People are voting. The mail-in ballots have gone out. You might have them on your table now. Fill them out. Don't forget to sign them, date them so they can be counted. Thank you again, audience, for having us in your living room or in your car, on your cell phone, wherever you're seeing this this conversation. We'll see you next week again. Please be safe. Enjoy your weekend. This is Johnny Farias.